Most of you know how important language is to me, and it's not so much just language, it's the use of words. And sometimes I like to be magical in my imaginings, and that words cast a spell, right? And if you just think of it the way, if a critical parent keeps saying bad things about others or bad things about people to a child, it begins to weave a spell around this child, okay, of literally of a woven spell of feeling bad about themselves, bad about others, bad about the world, dangerous. So I really love the idea that words that come out of our mouth are important. And so I love, and you know that I just feel super passionate about finding words that really describe something, and for us to be intentional with our words. The other way that I love words is that I find them a meditation. Um, there's sometimes when I'm working with clients that if I'm able to use a word that can resonate with their experience, it's almost like this beautiful, relieving, amazing waterfall that goes through their body or goes through mine. When someone can describe my experience in language or in words, it can really cause it. I like to see it as untying a knot inside of myself or inside of them. And if we think of it, if we think of the idea of language, most of you know that I am bicultural and bilingual and actually trilingual. And so I really appreciate being a global person, a global citizen. And one of the things of bonding when I'm out in the world and I can speak someone else's language and they can speak mine, it's actually a way of communing, of coming together, if we can use our words to bring us together. Um, so not only is it, not only can words cast a spell, um, because and even really good ones, right? If you say to your child, I know you have a bright future, I can see your bright future, or mistakes are part of the process, don't worry, this is where you learn, or I see you, I hear you, I feel you. If you could say that to a child, um, it actually starts to weave, it starts to weave something amazing inside of that child. And of course, the opposite is true too. And then words as a meditation, right? Profound words as a meditation. And so I love, and sometimes you'll see me post just a word that I feel like, I felt today. And then the third piece is this idea of language, ways of speaking. And I like to see myself and to offer it to others that we we're able to speak many, many, many languages, right? By finding someone, by understanding and seeking to understand other people's words, right? So, for example, let's talk today, right now. I'll just give you a quick example of the word practice. Practice. And in the Buddhist tradition, they talk a lot about being in practice, right? And being in meditational practice. And what that means is basically it means like the practice of doing something. So, one of the textures that I'm feeling today about the word practice, practice. And I love it because, of course, you know that I love the idea of how we raise our children and how we bring them into the world is to allow for practice. Mistakes are practice. We practice riding a bike. We practice math. Life is all about doing something that you don't know how to do over and over and over, and you're practicing. And that includes consistency and not always getting it right because it's a practice. And as you practice, right, anything, as you practice meditation or ballet or weightlifting or acting or engaging with others in social situations, or as you practice going inside and finding your feelings and what hurts, life, one of the greatest, most beautiful tools of life is practice. The word, listen, the word practice. So, on one level, we have practices, right? So, I have the practice of waking up and meditating and going to sleep to my meditations or walking my dog to my meditations. Um, there's all sorts of practices that we have throughout the day, and where we set intentional practices. But don't you love the idea? You know, a lot of people said practice makes perfect, but it actually I think that creates sometimes anxiety in children and teenagers um, because perfection isn't the goal in practice. Practice is just the continual showing up to a habit, to an activity, to being present. Practice. And so, you know, not only is this an invitation as I say the word, right? As I say the word practice, it loosens it up. You get to just show up to your workout practice, to your meditation practice, to your trying to eat well practice, to wanting to be embodied practice. Practice it. So it's this beautiful combination of habit, but also of learning. And life is all about, right? Life is learning. This idea that we have to come into life and hit the ground running is actually how we create so much anxiety in our little ones who become big ones. And then here I am in a practice full of my practice, my private practice, where people get to practice cleaning up on their anxiety and their suffering and their trauma. And so much of it, you know, and so much of imposter syndrome, right, at the core root is about feeling like they have to know without the practice. That little kids have to know without the practice. That teens have to know. How about sex? How many teens have no idea? No idea about the beauty, the sensuality, the amazingness, the tenderness of sex, because they have to just hit the ground running as if they have to know about sex. Cannot tell you how many teens say that to me. They feel like they're expected to know about sex. And yet they're in their second decade of life. Sex is a practice. You must practice at it. Even older couples have to practice at sex. And that combines keeping it as a consistent activity, right? Like a habit, but also the allowance of learning of stages and making mistakes. So today I talked a little bit about the idea of using language, beautiful language, to express something, and gave you the example of the word practice. And I'll be doing this more often, of just sort of what we call just in English lit, like just deconstructing a word, um, because words do matter, language matters. Um, so hopefully we're all in practice and allowing ourselves to be in practice. Okay, see you soon. Bye.